right. Welcome back to Drop a Jewel with Malaka. Of course, I am your host, Malaka, and today we have once again another beautiful special guest. We got Jalisa Hardy in the building. Jalisa Hardy is an author, minister. She is a board certified holistic health practitioner. Come on now, and a lot more. She is a mom of three beautiful children and so much more. Okay. She is also known as the AKA Golden Child. Okay. And we're going to find out, we're going to learn today why she is a Golden Child and all these other things. So, welcome to the show, Jaleesa. How are you?
Yes, Malika, thank you so much for having me. Yes, I'm a single mom. I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So look, it's by God's grace that I'm still okay, awake and alert and able to be here with y'all today.
That is
So yes,
great. And we are
thank
so
you so much for having me.
and we are so thankful because it is truly a blessing to be a mother and to have some beautiful children. And I know we might hear some noise in the background. That's okay. You might hear some in mine, but that's okay. We need to normalize being a mother and having our children, and that is okay. Like they're gonna make
Yeah.
it okay. Uh, so, Jaleesa, let's get right into it. I wanted you to be on the show because the show is called Drop a Jewel with Malika. And I mean, the work you do is some phenomenal work. And I like to tell people this too. Like, I know a lot of podcasts, this is a newer podcast, and a lot of podcasts have many episodes, and that's all good. But I feel like, and I always say this to all my guests, that each episode is so powerful and spiritual. So I think, we got to really be particular of what messages we are putting in the universe. And
Mhm.
that's really important. And as a mother, I know I have a responsibility. So yeah, no more playing. Okay. Um, so Jaleesa, before we get started and get into the show, what does it mean when I said, can you be on my show? And you heard Drop a Jewel with Malika. What did you think of? What comes to mind when you think of Drop a Jewel?
We all have experiences that we can extract wisdom from in order to share with the next person. And that's what I think about, like sharing that wisdom, dropping gems, dropping jewels, paying it forward. Like really, that as I'm talking, like paying it forward, not just being blessed with a message or an experience for yourself, but paying it forward and sharing it with somebody else so that they can be blessed just the same as you are from your blessing or your experience.
That's right. Yeah, you just summed it up so eloquently, right? But it, we are blessed in so many ways, and it's important that we share the blessings, right? And it's so funny because when I first started the show, I was talking about how to, find, we all go through life challenges, but I feel like with all of our life challenges, there's a blessing in the lesson itself,
Mhm.
right? But then we also can learn from each other. Sometimes if we just sit down and talk, we learn. And that learning is valuable, right? Um, so thank you for sharing that because that is what Dropping a Jewel is about. And so tell us what you do. Tell us what is the golden child. Who is the golden child, right? That is a strong name, right? I remember that movie back in the days too with the Eddie Murphy,
Yeah.
but that's a powerful name, the golden child, right? But you're not also just the golden child. You're a minister, right? And an author. You have a book, and
Mhm.
you also have your certificate. You're a holistic certified board certified healthcare um, practitioner.
Yep.
So tell us about what you do and who you are.
So at the end of the day, I'm just Jaleesa. Like all the titles, all of that, at the core of my purpose, at the core of who I am Jaleesa. No one else on this entire planet has my fingerprint. No one else has my DNA. No one else has my vibe. Like everything about me, my experiences is just Jaleesa. I've obtained different, educations, different certifications, all of those things. And some of them were meant for me to do. Others were just out of insecurity, feeling like, not enough, feeling like you needed to get another degree or another certification to have, things behind your name to say, okay, yeah, I'm this, that, and the third. but my innate ability, my innate gifts, the things that God has given me to do in this world, I don't need a title. I don't need, a certification or a degree or anything like that, because God has anointed me and gifted me to do the healing work that He's gifted me to do. He's anointed me to be able to connect with people and just share my experiences, because not a lot of people are open about their experiences, the traumatic experiences, the things that they've gone through. Not a lot of people are able to see things from the perspective that I see them, because I see myself, I see my life as a masterpiece. And what I
Yeah,
tell people all the time is that masterpieces require mess.
yeah,
Masterpieces require, it's not going to be completely pretty the entire time. Sometimes it's not even going to make sense. So for
right.
me, it's about supporting people with making the mess a masterpiece, and going from surviving or just getting by to thriving. We talked about this before, but truly healing on a deeper level, getting to the root cause of what is causing their dis-ease or their discomfort, or just feeling like they're not where they desire to be, and really walking into the limitless ability, the limitless beings that we are. We
Yeah,
put limits on ourselves. We put barriers and boundaries on ourselves from doing and achieving the things God has called us and created us to do. And I'm here to walk with people hand in hand to take those limits off, take those blinders off, take those boundaries off, and really just fly.
yeah, absolutely. This show is about, I really appreciate that. And this show is about educating and healing and enhancing and
Yes.
transforming. And some key things that you brought up just now were like the healing part, right? And bringing up trauma and people's mess. And, I, it's so interesting. I do therapy and constantly people say, well, can you come fix my mess or fix me or things like that. But why is a mess? What is it? What is a mess? Like when you're saying, hey, people, the mess is part of the masterpiece, what does that mean? Right? Because a lot of people are trying to heal and there's so much stuff out here, right? There's so many alternatives to healing, right? And I encourage people to get therapy and stuff like that. But there's also many other alternatives. And sometimes it ain't just therapy that works. There's multiple different measures, or maybe therapy doesn't
Exactly.
work. You need to come see Jalisa. You need to come see somebody else. Right? But there's multiple different aspects of healing. But what is the mess? Like what's the mess?
Whether it's trauma, whether it's conditioning that society or your parents or your experiences made you believe about yourself. You might believe that you're inconsistent, or you may believe that you're a failure, or you may believe that you're never going to prosper. These things are just conditionings,
Mm.
because you have the innate ability to succeed, to build wealth, to live beyond your wildest dreams. But the mess is, a lot of it is in your mind. A lot of those thoughts, a lot of those recurring beliefs that are not supportive for you, a lot of the traumatic experiences that you've had, whether growing up or, this pandemic definitely was traumatic. Okay. That was a traumatic experience. But if you just try to move forward carrying this baggage, it's going to slow you down. It's going
Mhm.
to slow you down. So those are some of the things that are the mess, like that baggage that we carry as people, just feeling like, oh, I got to get up and go to work. I got to get up and take care of my kids. I got to get up and do this. But
Yeah.
no, it's time for you to take time for yourself. Look yourself in the mirror to deal with these things so that you can really move forward as the best version of yourself.
Yep. Nope. I feel like I hear everybody saying this nowadays. Like, oh, be the best version of yourself and, heal. And this sounds good, but I feel like I'm hearing everybody say that right now. Do you think it's a wave? Do you think that people actually meaning what they say? Like, what you think about that? I'm sorry. I know you're not
I
them people
think
yourself, but I'm just curious because I feel like I hear everybody saying this, right?
I
Like,
think a lot of it is, that's the personal development type of world. That's a lot of it, but it's to really, you see behind the scenes. Like if you meet some of these people behind the scenes and you really see their life, you like,
it's a mess. That's a mess.
you really not practicing what you preach. Like you really not doing the work. Not to say that anybody is perfect, not to say that I'm perfect, but when it comes to like really making the most out of life, making the most out of the message. Like people will tell you all the time, like, how in the world is Jalisa still standing? How in the world are you still, showing up? And that's because I make the most out of the mess. I
Mhm.
make the most out of those situations because I know that God didn't allow it just for it to be in vain. Pain is not going to ever be in vain. So to be able to shift my perspective and shift my mindset around those experiences to say, okay, I can make use of this, whether it's to share it with somebody else to let them know that, hey, I went through this too and I got through it. And this is what I did in order to get through it. Versus it just being like something that, like I said, you're carrying it on your back and just
Yeah, because
rocking with.
that weight is heavy, and you're right. I want to point that out too because a lot of people. That's why I wasn't trying to shade and nothing like that. But you got a lot of people like, oh, heal yourself and all that. But the work. See, you brought up something that's really important. I think everybody's journey is different. I'm not trying to shade people
Mhm.
who are trying to heal themselves, but their process. Everyone's process is different. But it takes work. This is not like you can really change your life. You can make something out of that mess. You can do things different, but it takes the work. This is not like one-stop shop, right? And you brought up something about the baggage. I want to mention something. Remember that song by Erica Badu, Bag Lady?
Mhm.
Remember that song?
Bag
Yep,
lady,
I'm not gonna sing it because but go ahead. Uh-huh.
dragging all them back
Yep.
like that.
All right, pause. But what was she saying? I use this so much, this analogy, but I heard that song when I was a kid, and I used to be like, oh, back
Mhm.
that's her thing. But when I got older and listened to the song, and I went through the mess,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she was saying to me, this is what I got out of it. She said, bag lady, you gonna miss your bus carrying
Mhm.
all those bags. And that's the weight, the heaviness. The bus is something that it's an instrument that's taking you somewhere.
Mhm.
But when we so heavy, we can't even get on a bus. So then that means we can't go nowhere and
Mhm.
we stay stuck. So when I heard that song, I thought of that in adulthood. I was like, oh, that's what she meant. Like you're gonna miss your bus because you're carrying so much baggage. And most of us are missing our marks or opportunities or blessing blockers or things are being blocked because we have so many things weighing us down.
Yep.
Heavy. It's heavy. And so in my last episode, we talked about like what feels light. And I think lightening some of the load is part of the, of course, healing process, but it helps to transform us too, because it helps to take us places. We can make room to get on that bus and go somewhere. So I just thought of it like that. What you think about it?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's like you said, like I also thought about the bus being like it's like yes, it's a vehicle, but it's also a destination because you know being present in the moment. There's something on that bus for you on
Ah,
the way to the destination, on the way to the next stop, on the
you
way
know,
to the
I
next.
like talking to you because I'm gonna pull up my notebook. Where's my notepad at? I got my notebook right here. Hold on. You said the bus got a desk. Okay, who is on that bus?
Exactly. It's going
Yes.
to be something or someone on that bus for you. There is no coincidences in life. You end up on a bus or you end up in front of an opportunity or you end up in front of a stop for a reason. So when you can stop and be present, you realize, oh, it's something here for me. Like they say, stop and smell the roses. Getting present, being mindful of what's going on, being mindful of the messages. Because it could literally, even if you taking a bus, a sign postage or a billboard, that could be a message for you. But if you're not paying attention, or if you weigh down, you trying to carry the stuff, your back is heavy, your neck is down, you can't look up to see the message. You're
Message.
gonna miss it.
Got my notepad right here. Got it right there.
So just being mindful of not just being so focused on, all right, I gotta get to the next stop, I gotta get to the next destination. Every moment is a destination for you to learn something or glean something from or get a message from. So don't miss the message just because you like, all right, I gotta get to this next stop. This is where I'm trying to go. This is where I'm trying to go. It's something for you every moment.
That's
Just
right.
be present and listen.
That's why they say like Man, that resonated so much. But that's why they say like the journey. Sometimes it's not just the goal, the end destination. It's the journey itself. That's also just as important as the end destination, the goal.
Mhm.
Mm, that's a good. That's a good.
Yeah.
So we need to help some people overcome. Okay, we need to educate, heal, and transform, and uplift our community. So I noticed on your website you have a framework that you work with and operate. And I want to get back into your background, but I also want to talk about that framework, that the five fives.
Yeah, the 5 F's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said five fives. Oh my God. Five F. The five F's, right? I want to ask you about that framework, but then I want the backstory, how you even got to that framework, right? So let's talk about the five F's.
Yes. So it really started with kind of what you touched on earlier, how I became the golden child, where that came from. It came from my mom's faith. My mom's belief that what the doctor said was not that they didn't have the final say.
Talk to
She
say.
had the faith and belief that God would have the final say.
Mm-hmm.
So they, going through pregnancy, a lot of women have, fertility challenges. And that was my mom. She had multiple miscarriages. She hadn't carried any of her pregnancies full term. And when it came to me, they run a different test to see, what's going on. The child is healthy, this, that, and the third. And they ran the test as, her experience with conception, she had a hard time. But they told her, your daughter's going to have Down syndrome, that
Mm-hmm.
your daughter's going to be born without a stomach, and her esophagus and her windpipe is going to be fused together. They're like, we saw the sonograms, we're doing all these tests, and your baby is going to have a lot of difficulties, especially if you don't make it full term, which you have a history of doing. So they ran all these tests and was telling her, all these different results. And the nurse came back and was like, well, with all of these different issues, it would be best for you to get an abortion, because if you are to make it full term, your baby's going to need multiple surgeries to have any chance of a normal life, a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
And for her, it was literally her faith that carried her through, because she's like, yeah, I see what I see in the physical. I see the test results. I see the ultrasound, all of these things, but I'm standing on my faith. I'm standing on my belief that God has the final say.
Wow. I want to pause on that. Just pause. Because we're both mothers. And that is not no news. No mother, no parent wants to get, right? And these doctors, they be saying stuff. And there's a lot in science, but we all know there's a higher power, right? And the fact that mom is strong because that was a true test of faith.
Mhm.
I just had to throw that out there. I had to pause on that for a moment. I want you to keep going, but I know, just as I'm always like empathizing and with people, and I'm like always trying to feel what they feel and like step into them. And I'm just feeling that and getting that type of news as a mom and saying, I don't care. It's my baby. That's powerful. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, just her faith, her belief, her conviction that, what? God allowed me to get pregnant. God allowed me to, conceive, and I'm going to carry it through, whether it's, what the doctor says or not. But her belief was, God has the final say, and I'm believing for God's best for my life. I'm believing that my child is going to be healed. I'm believing that what the doctors say is not going to be what's final for my child and for me. So she went to a revival. She let them know what was going on, had them pray over her and me. And she said the only thing she remembers is feeling like she was being lifted off of her feet, and that God was pouring gold into her stomach. And when she went back to the doctor, they couldn't find anything wrong with me.
You can't make this up. You can't make this up. You can't make gold.
So that is where the golden child came from.
Wow.
Really, sharing the supernatural experience that happened for me to be here.
Yeah.
Sharing the gifts, the abilities, just helping people be more aware that there's so much more than just what's in the physical realm.
Mm.
There's so much more to us than just our physical bodies.
Wow.
And faith is the first F in my framework because of my mom, because of her faith, because if it wasn't for her faith, I wouldn't be here.
Hello. So that's a given. That F is well spoken F, okay? So we got the first F in the framework. So we got 5 Fs, and we know why you the golden child. Like I said, you can't make that up. And there's evidence, right? Like the doctor said this, and there's documentation, and nope, this didn't happen. Because guess what? I'm here. I'm a true testament. So we got the F is the first F. I mean, yeah, the faith is the first F.
Mhm.
Got for the second F. How you get to that second F?
The second F, forgiveness.
Hmm.
That one was a lifelong journey. Definitely a lifelong journey. Starting out from a young age, I experienced, you know, abandonment issues from my dad, not being home, wanting to, rip him on the streets, do his thing, being young, having kids, out in an urban area. There's nothing positive to do out there, but he was living that life, and little girls, kids need their fathers, period. But if you're not going to be a positive male role model, sometimes it's best for you to just go on your way because
Mm.
you do more damage staying and pretending that it's something that it's not, being present but absent at the same time. And that was my experience with my father. And because of the things that he was doing, my mom was having her own experience and she missed a lot of what was going on with her kids. And one of the things that she missed was that both my sister and I were being sexually abused.
Wow.
And my sister was being sexually abused by one of our aunts and her god sister, and she was coming home sexually abusing me. We're only 3.5 months apart, 3.5 years apart, and we were kids. She didn't know any better. But for me, being a child, I didn't understand right from right, wrong from wrong. It was just like, you have intuition even as a child that something just don't feel right. So I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't share about it. I just kept it in. And the way that it came out was through alcohol abuse, drug abuse, promiscuity, anger, all the things that I tried to do to mask it that ultimately led me to people labeling me, oh, she's angry, oh, she's promiscuous, oh, she's this, oh, she's that. But nobody ever asked what happened to you. A
Mm.
lot of times we just go based off of face value of people's behaviors. But when it comes to, undesirable behaviors in children and adults, there's a disconnect that has occurred, whether it's from a parent or themselves or from God or just a traumatic experience that literally disconnected them from their physical being.
Yeah.
And that was my experience. So
Wow.
for me, I had to forgive not only my sister, not only my parents, not only, the additional traumatic experience that I had growing up, those people, I had to forgive myself. And I ultimately had to forgive God. People are like, you got to forgive God. Yes, because I blamed him
Mm.
for everything that happened. I blamed him for not keeping me and protecting me. I'm like, I'm a child. How could you not protect me and you say that you love me?
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
Right. Right.
But what I realized is that people have free will. He's not going to control what people do, but he is going to control the outcome. He is going to make sure that you are taken care of, that you are provided for, that you are able to get through the situation and circumstance, but you have to do your part. And my part was forgiveness. I had to forgive because those things were literally eating me alive by holding on to them, holding grudges, holding on to anger, holding on to unforgiveness. It was literally eating me alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Jalisa, wow. Thank you for, being so transparent and open and honest and vulnerable right here. Um, and I'm sorry that you had to experience that. No child, no one should have to experience that. And I'm happy that you're here to share your story, and I'm sure your story can help someone, right? And change a life or save a life even. Um, and you said something earlier that really is really important to me. Sometimes we see people struggling, and people will say the automatic response sometimes is, "Oh, what's wrong with them?" Or the judgmental response of, "You
Mhm.
seen them?" Clown them or shame them or laugh or make mockery out of the person. And a trauma informed lens or trauma informed approach, we don't say, "What's wrong with you?" We say, "What happened to you?"
Mhm.
What happened to you? Two different, be interested in two different responses we get when we ask what happened to people, and then what happens after you ask someone what happened to you.
Exactly.
You don't know how many times I've heard similar stories where no one ever asked. So, oh, they just acting all such and such because they all such and such. But what did you ask the person? Did you clarify? So that's part of the forgiveness, but that's a trauma informed approach. What happened to you? Very
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, and a lot of times another F that's not a part of the framework is fault. We find that everything that we've gone through, no, it's not our fault, but it's our responsibility to do something with it. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. Are you
Mm,
going to choose life? Are you going to choose forgiveness? Are you going to choose to heal? Are you going to choose to share your story so that somebody else can see that it's possible to overcome, so that they can see that they're not alone? There are so many people suffering in silence, and we've overcome something, or even in the midst of something, but we still get up, we still stand strong, we still, continue to move forward. Even if you're just a little bit further than somebody else, you can reach back and help that person,
yeah,
because a lot of times we feel like we're all alone, like nobody's going to understand. And that for me is one of the reasons why I'm so open and I'm so transparent about my story and my experiences, because my desire is to give voice to the voiceless, to
mm,
let them know that they're not alone, to let them know that there's somebody else that has experienced something similar or even something different, but I've overcome. I've
mm.
gotten past it. I didn't give up on life. I didn't give up on myself. I didn't end my life because of the pain that I experienced.
Wow. I want to ask too, like, I know we're still going through the F's, but I want to also ask, like, how do you know when you have overcome something, right? But I guess we'll get to that because the framework speaks about helping the five F's speak about helping people overcoming challenges and life obstacles. So this is powerful. And like I said, I know this is going to save a life. And the people that's supposed to hear this is going to hear this, right? Um let's dive into another F, right?
Yeah. So when it comes to feeling like you've overcome, again, it goes back to this concept. It doesn't have to be this big destination, like I've made it, I'm healed, I'm over it. But when you can open up, even if it's just to journal about an experience, or open up to share it with one person, or open up to even go look at the website to find a therapist, that's when you know you're overcoming. Because there's always going to be something that triggers you based off of a past experience. But when you're triggered, what do you do? Do you run back to the bottle? Do you run back to that toxic relationship? Do you run to the word? Do you run to somebody that's going to be able to hold space for you, even if it's just to cry?
Mhm.
So, the way that you respond when you're triggered, the way that you respond when similar situations occur, that's when you know that you're overcoming.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Yeah, that's I think it's always going to be something, right? Our life is always throwing something at us and challenges. And my dad used to tell me you're going to have multiple tests every month. It always stuck to my head, like that saying. But so your framework can have the faith, fellowship, and family,
Mhm.
friends, forgiveness, feeding your being, and fun.
Mhm.
Is it all in that order? Or is it like, how does that work? The framework.
It's really, I call it like a toolkit or a toolbox.
Hmm.
Like you picking that moment, which one or two or even all of them that you need when you go through a certain experience. Because if you think about it, you stub your toe, you're not going to the hospital. You're
Right.
just going, put some Neosporin on it, put a band-aid on it if you need to. But that's how life is. Okay, sometimes some experiences that you have, you might need to just lean on your faith and that be enough. Other experiences, you might need to go ahead and go in on all of them and then add some, okay?
Or
But it's just a matter of going back to what we talked about, being present in the moment to see what it is that you need, to understand yourself in a way to say, okay, this experience, I'm triggered. I'm definitely triggered, but I don't need all five of these things or more of these things. I just need two. Let me
mm,
go ahead and tap into my faith. Let me go ahead and tap into fellowship. Let me reach out to somebody that is going to be able to support me, that is going to be able to hold space for me.
that's right. That's right.
So it's just a matter of you tuning in and knowing yourself, being guided by your inner wisdom, by Holy Spirit, so that you'll know, okay, it's time for me to, move to the next tool in my toolbox.
Yeah,
I
I
need
like
a little bit more this time.
that's what I'm always calling it, like a toolbox. Like always, like we sometimes some jobs you don't need it too much. You just need a screwdriver. But some jobs,
Mhm.
calling the troops, you need all you need all the tools. Okay? So we got I like this five F's framework. I like that. I think this is really beneficial. Um, so you can use these F's whenever you want. You can use them. You can use multiple F's. You
And
add.
that's the thing. What I realized why I titled the book "It's All in Me"
Mhm.
is because I realized I've always had access to these things.
Yeah.
No matter what experience I had, I've always had access to these things. I've always had access to my faith. I've always had access to forgiveness. I've always had access to fellowship with family and friends and people that are going to be supportive for me. I've always had access to be able to feed my being because you're constantly getting bombarded with things through social media, through TV, through ads, through relationships and people. But if you can be intentional about filtering those things out to say, okay, that's not for me. I'm not going to watch the news because that's triggering, or I'm not going to get spend too much time on social media because I know social media will take you on an emotional roller coaster. Okay, it will have you
I know
laughing.
why. Prior to this year, I really didn't have no social media like that. So it was like, I mean, I probably had like a page or two, like to look for something for somebody, right? Nah, but right, I never really used it. So now I understand like how intense and stuff. Like you can click on one thing and then start clicking, and then before you know it, you were just looking at something real quick, and you on there for 10 hours. Like, what the hell? What time is it? You walking up the stairs with your groceries, looking at what the? So I guess I'm a newbie, right? People have been doing this for a long time.
No, it's an addiction. People can be addicted to social media because you get those dopamine
Algorithm.
hits, but you
Algorithm.
also, it's people's highlight reel. And that's what people don't realize. Most people are not really sharing really what's going on, whether it's in their relationship, in their business, on their jobs, whatever. They're just showing you what they want you to see. They done took about 30 selfies just to get that one right angle. Okay.
All about the
So
all about the
it's like
angles. Yeah.
by remembering this when you're scrolling on social media, like this is really not real life. It's just really for entertainment.
It's
Like,
social. Not social. Yes. Not social about nothing. But well, we at this platform right now. This is a good part of the social media where we can get
mhm.
these important messages across to people, right? But then then there's the message that comes right before or after ours is like a whole bunch of crazy stuff, right? Um,
Yeah, but we literally have everything that we need in order to live a life of freedom and abundance. We
okay.
have it with us. God equipped us.
Yeah.
He provides continuously in each moment. If you think about it, you've literally overcome 100% of your worst days
Well, you're
because
here.
you're still standing, you're still here.
Still here. That's
Regardless of how long it took, regardless of how hard it was, you have a track record of overcoming your
mhm.
hardest days that
Yes,
you
that's
thought you
right.
would never overcome.
When you look at it like that, yeah, like that makes sense, right? Um, Delisa, you have um something else that you do that's really important. You have a design chart. Like, what's it called? Hold on. I
Yes,
don't
human
know.
design. But I'm really like when I tell you how God has just been opening my eyes about this vehicle modality, this source, this resource, human design. Human design, I call it a personality test on steroids, but if you really think about it, it's God's design because God designed your life for you to be born at a specific time, on a specific day, in a specific place. He picked that for specific reasons.
And I
And
want to pause
sometimes,
for a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off, but I gotta say this
mhm,
because some people be saying I'll be late now because y'all just like capitalist conditions and stuff.
mhm,
Who gets to define what late means? Now, someone said, "Oh, you was born 2 weeks late." I said, "Oh, okay." You say you got faith, right? You spiritual, right? So you gonna call God and tell him I was 2 weeks late? You gonna tell him I was 2 weeks late? But so someone, according to God, I was right on time. Okay.
mhm,
So, anyways, I just like that joke because I thought of it the other day when someone kept saying I had to reframe something bad. Like every time they would come to the sessions, they were always late. And I was like, no, you right on time.
mhm,
And I had to bring it back to that way. And it was funny because the person ended up really being born like me and like many other people. I have this conversation with so many people, but being born what's considered in our capitalist country, 2 weeks late or 3 weeks late or a couple of days late. How you late? You right on time. You came when you supposed to come. But
exactly.
let someone else tell your story for you. You was late already in the beginning. Damn, how I messed up? I just got here. Okay, that was my little joke, but it's true, right? Look at how like society conditions us to think about ourselves. Like, here's a person. If you were told, oh, you were 2 weeks late, so then you're always constantly late. Then it makes you feel like you're never good enough. You're always something.
Mhm,
You've been problematic since you was a baby. But when you reframe that thinking, then I do a lot of reframing around thinking. When you say, oh, wow, when I told someone you were right on time, you going to tell God you late? They said, I never looked at it like that. You know what I mean? And it could change someone's whole like lifestyle, like the way they look at themselves and value themselves and value time and stuff like that. So I always tell people I'm right on time, honey. Okay. I'm gonna be here.
exactly.
Be here.
Exactly. You are exactly where you're meant to be when you're meant to be there. When you
Mm,
can be present and know that the only time that you have is now. You don't have 5 minutes ago. You don't have 5 minutes, ahead. The
that's right.
only time that you have is now. So when, like I said, going back to being mindful and being present, the moment that you have now is what matters most.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why they call, and I always say this, but the present is a gift, right? Because
Mhm.
it's the present, right? Wrap it up so nice. Now it's going. Look, it's going. It's going. It's going. As you say it's going, it's going.
Exactly.
As soon as you say present,
So
it's going, it's going, it's going.
human design really helps you to understand more details of why God had you born at a specific date, at a specific time, in a specific place, and
Mhm.
how He designed you in order to show up. Because honestly, people don't necessarily see it that way. We're such an individualistic society, but when it comes to human design, it shows you just how connected we all are,
Tell me
how
about
our yes, how our energy feel, how our energy shows up, our calling, the different personality types, how they have a specific role in the community, how they have a specific role out in the world. It's like literally it uncovers and really unmasks the ideas of things like capitalism or feminism or like these things that kind of label you and put you into boxes.
it.
It
Mhm.
uncovers all of that and shows your uniqueness as an individual but your uniqueness and how it impacts the collective. So it's so deep, but it's also life changing. I literally just did an impromptu reading for someone in one of my mastermind groups, and she put up her chart and she started reading it, and she literally just started crying because it's so validating to know that who society or your parents or your experiences told you were, that that's not who you really are.
Wait a
When you
minute.
can discover your true self that God created and designed you to be, that's why I call it God's design, because he designed us all uniquely
Yeah, of course.
different. Like, you have traits from your parents or whatever the case may be, but when it comes to our human design, you'll see, different similarities, but every single human design chart is different because everybody was born at a different time, at a different place, with a different name.
Found
So,
out birth time too. You know how we had talked about, he was like, I was talking about, I was supposed to do the design, human design,
uh-huh. Yep.
right? But it was like, he was like, what time was you born? And I was like, I'm gonna get that.
Mhm.
I think it was a nighttime. And so I haven't got a chance to do it, but because I had to go research. I did my research and my mom found my birth certificate and she pulled it up. She was like, oh, you was born at this time. I was like, oh my God, I thought I was born at nighttime all this time. No, not nighttime. I thought I was born early in the morning.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, that's so, I never do that. Okay. So that was interesting. But so human design. So you're telling me this is a personality test. Everybody's taking personality tests now. You can't even stop. Like, you can't even scroll through like a social media page without saying, click on this. You want to know if you're a psychopath or you're a genius, like you want to know your personal personality style. So this human design, right? You mentioned a lot of powerful things that it does, but how does it work? Like, what does it do?
So you put in your date of birth, your time of birth, and location of birth, and it shows you your human design chart. There are a lot of different things, but I kind of start with layers of information because it is a lot. We are unique, we are multifaceted, we have a lot of different things about us that, we sometimes don't even know, or we know it, but we just kind of ignore it because in society they tell you. So for me, you know what, go to my website and do your chart. You got your time of birth.
Yeah, I got it
Yeah, go to my website,
right now.
jalisahardy.com. Yep, go do it right now. We gonna look at it right now so I can tell you. I'm
Okay,
gonna
okay.
tell you about yourself.
Wait. Hold on, wait. How I just want me to share the screen? I don't want everybody to know my birthday. Hold on. Hold on one
Just
second.
once you get the chart, then you can pull it up. It won't show your birthday and all that.
Okay. Wait, how I do that? Okay, hold on. We're gonna go to go on your website. Okay, hold on. We're gonna
It'll
be
be a little pop up and it'll say get your human design body graph or human design chart. You put in your name, your email address.
wait, hold on. It says, hey, gorgeous soul. Thank you.
Hmm.
Need that. Okay. All right. Get your human design chart.
Hmm.
I got it. Now put my name, right?
Yep.
My whole name, my government,
Yep.
like
Hmm.
all my names. No.
No, just your first and last.
Okay, because we got some different names now. Okay. All right, so birth year, I'm putting it in. I'm putting it in. Oh, I ain't letting everybody know my birthday. Hold on. We send gifts. Okay, no, I'm joking. Okay, so yes, I'm a Cancer. Okay. I'll let y'all know that. Okay. All right. So I got my hour. Yes.
Yeah, human design is a combination. It's a combination of astrology, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, quantum physics, and the chakra system.
Oh wow.
And it's not only these things combined, but it's backed by science. So scientists have studied it. So when we start talking about it, you're gonna be like, yo, this is scary accurate. And that's how it was in the beginning. It's like, you hear all of this stuff. And you're like, yeah, personality test, but this is literally like
Okay.
it's the most unique personality test I've ever seen because it literally is a personalized test to tell you about who God really designed for you to be.
Okay. I did it. What I do? Do I read the report? What I do?
So share your screen.
Okay. Hold on. Let me get exit out of some of this stuff. Hold on. Oh wait. Hold on. All right, I gotta share my screen. Hold on. Not everybody. I thought it was a different age.
Girl.
Oh my god. Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Right. All right. There we are.
All right. So you are what is called a generator. And it says here on you are not just a powerful implementer, but also a true creator of this world. Your enormous energy enables you to create something with great endurance and joy. It is essential for you to listen to and respond to your inner gut feeling. And that's also known as your sacral, which I'll go a little bit more into. But when you let yourself be guided by your inner yes, your power, your love for creative processes will go hand in hand. Remember to be patient and wait for the right moment. So, generators are one of the five energy types. There are five energy types in human design. There are manifesting generators, which is a hybrid of manifestors and generators. There are generators, as I mentioned, manifestors, reflectors, and projectors. Generators and manifesting generators make up 70% of the population. Each of them make up 35% of the population by themselves. But majority of the people that you'll run into, that you'll encounter, are generators or manifesting generators. They're a lot alike with just the way that they show up, the way that they interact with the world. But one of the things that is important for you to know as a generator is that you need to know that something is a yes, because if it's not and you say yes to something, that is the quickest way for you to be burnt out. A
Mm,
lot of times, as generators and manifesting generators, we tend to people please because we have a lot of energy. We have a lot of, gifts, talents, things that we want to do, things that we want to put out into the world. But if we're saying yes to things that are a no, we end up burnt out, digestive issues, thyroid issues, stressed out, these things, because we're not living a life that lights us up. We're living based off of what somebody else desires for our lives to look like. So
wow.
people will say, "Oh, you could do this. You got it. You've done it before. You da 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 da." But in your mind, you like, "I really don't want to do this."
Mhm.
But because it's your sister or your friend or your cousin or your mom, you're like, "I'm gonna just go ahead and do it for them because I can do it and I love this person, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it for them." But that is to our detriment, because when we say yes to something that is a no, we're saying no to something that is a yes. It's about the opportunity cost. And for generators, when you win, everybody wins. So
That's what I be telling people.
on
Okay,
the flip side, when you lose, everybody loses.
that's why I told him,
So
rock
you
with
got to be mindful to know, like, I'm losing if I say yes to something that's a no, even though it might seem like it's a win to them, but it's not.
That's powerful. I love this. Hold on, keep going.
And it go down, it talks about your strategy to respond. So when it comes down to what I call this strategy, it's really how you best interact with the world, how you best make decisions when it comes to opportunities that come up for you. We're programmed, conditioned to believe that we're all supposed to just do it. We're supposed to go after, we're supposed to grind, we're supposed to hustle, we're supposed to go get it. Those types of things. Network marketing industry will tell you, write a list of 50 people, call them and introduce, like, these types of behaviors that aren't designed for majority of the population. Only 8% of the population are designed to just do it. And those are manifestors.
Mhm.
As generators and manifesting generators, we're designed to respond to things. So,
Mm,
for example, when it comes to marketing your business, if you show up, post on social media, get, an idea, it should be in response to something that you saw, in response to something that somebody asked you to do, or something that you've seen. And when somebody likes or comments or shares, that's
mhm.
something for you to respond to say, okay, now I'm going to invite them into my world. I'm going to invite them to look at my offer. I'm going to invite them to, just connect.
Right.
So it's important for us to not push or try to make things happen, because again, it's easy for us to burn out because we have so much energy.
Mm,
Because we can just go, go, go. We have sustainable energy. We're the only two energy types that have sustainable energy.
yeah.
Whereas we can go the long haul and say, okay, let me go ahead and, we can hit the all nighters. We don't need as much sleep. We, just it's a lot of different intricacies,
No, it's so funny because someone asked me like, "Wow, Malika, you do all these things," and I was like, and they was like, "How do you do all this?" I was like, "I got the energy."
Mhm,
It was so funny. I literally just said
mhm.
it to someone yesterday, and I'm so blessed to have the energy. But I was like, "I got the energy."
And
So
that's what I'm saying. It's like when you hear this stuff, it's like it makes so much sense now to see and understand about yourself why you are the way that you are. It's because this is how God designed you. God designed you to have a lot of energy, to be able to put in the work. But it needs to be in response to something, because if not, you're gonna be burnt out, stressed out, and sick.
okay, this is deep. What else can you tell me about this report? This is all for learning. This is for educational purposes. Okay.
Yes, we talked about a little bit about the sacral, and your sacral, it says your inner authority, but I really and truly call it your inner wisdom, your inner guide, your inner knowing, to say, okay, this is what's for me and this is what's not for me. So you get something to respond to, and your sacral, your gut intuition will tell you, yes, that's it. Yes, that's for you, or nah, sis, that's not it.
Yeah,
Nope, that's a no go.
definitely
But
go
a
off.
lot of times we've had so many traumatic experiences, we're disconnected from our body. We're disconnected from our gut intuition to be able to know that something lights us up, or it expands us. You'll feel expansive when you get an opportunity that comes to you and it's for you. But when it's not for you, you'll feel contracted, or you might have this facial expression, you like, that ain't it. And that's a part of our responses as sacral or generators and manifesting generators. We have a sacral response where if something is a yes, we'll say, uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. If something is a no, we'll say, uh-uh. And you'll literally, it's like you can't even control it. Your body will respond to something to say, yeah, that's not it, or yes, that's it. But again, we've been so programmed to say, oh, use your words, say yes, say no. But in all actuality, that's our natural response to things, so that we'll know that something is a yes or that something is a no. So when it comes to having sacral authority, that I consider the most efficient way for you to hear from God about whether something is for you or not for you. So it's important to ask a lot of yes or no questions when opportunities come up, like, is this for me? Is it for me to wear green today? Is it for me? Like, even if it's like the little things, to kind of practice and test it out, to see like what your sacral is saying, to kind of understand like, oh, this is my sacral response.
Okay.
That's when you're starting to learn this stuff. But girl, it's so amazing when it comes down to how,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I said it's hitting home. It's definitely hitting home. Definitely. What's the other stuff? Okay, we got the
Split definition, that is really, so if you look at your chart, your body graph, the
what's over here.
shapes.
Hmm.
Yeah, that over there, that's your, I call it body graph or body chart. It's the same thing. But when you look at it, there is split definition. So there's not as much flow. So there's four different types of definition. There's single definition, split definition, triple definition, and quad definition. So single definition, there's very, very easily able to come down from heightened emotion. So if they get upset, they can go, from 100 to 0 easily. Okay. But somebody with split definition, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. And then somebody with triple and quad definition,
Okay,
they're going to have a real hard time coming down from their emotions.
okay, so we in the center. We can come down. I can come down, right? Like
Mhm. Yeah, so you have split definition, which means it's a little easier for you to come down from heightened emotions. And it really just means that there's flow in your chart. And also that it also goes into the different colors. So you see certain centers, which are the shapes, are colored in, and other ones are not colored in. So those open centers are where you are easily influenced by outside sources. So you have more defined centers than undefined, or closed centers versus open centers, which means that you are not as easily influenced by outside sources.
right. I'm
You
on a plane.
uh, you know more about yourself. You have more of a a understanding and a confidence, a self-awareness. So
I would say that's true. I would say that's very, yeah, I'll say that's a
oh,
100. Yeah, that's definitely a 100. So, all right. Frustration, what's that about? Satisfaction and frustration.
okay. So your signature and your not self theme. So essentially, so the incarnation cross, that's real deep. So we're not gonna go into that, but essentially that is when you look at it, it's your purpose work. It's 70% of your purpose work, understanding that this is not something that you have to do, it's something that you already are, something that you naturally be as a person. So a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I got to find my purpose. Oh, I got to, figure out my purpose." No, you are your purpose. And your incarnation cross, when you understand that, you're like, "Oh, okay, I get it. I am my purpose." So that's incarnation cross. So signature and not self theme is essentially messages. So when you feel satisfied, that's an indication that you're connected to yourself, to God, to your surroundings, to the things that are aligned for you. When you're experiencing your not self theme or frustration, it's like a message to say, okay, something around me, whether it's a person, place, or thing, is not aligned. Or I'm disconnected from myself, or I'm disconnected from God. So when you're experiencing frustration, it's not for you to beat yourself up about when you get frustrated or pop off or whatever the case may be. It's just to look around and assess, like, okay, something is off. I'm disconnected somewhere, or something is not aligned for me. So these are essentially just messages for you to see when you're aligned, see when you're where you're supposed to be or not where you're supposed to be.
Hmm, this is deep. Now, the last one, smell. I was just telling my mother yesterday. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, "Ma, I could smell like people, places, and things."
Yes, it's your strongest sense. So that's what it is. It's like you can literally smell, like when people say you could smell a rat, like you can literally smell, like you when you smell something, or you'll get certain smells or whiffs of smells for certain people, and you like, yeah, nah, that
Yeah,
ain't right. Or all right, I can rock with that, I can rock with that. But that's your strongest sense of how you experience the world. You'll sense it with your smell before anything else,
I'll be the one that walk into a house and be like, "What's that smell, y'all?" And
and
everybody
nobody else smell it.
"Wow, what you talking about?" I'm telling you, like, I'm like, "Y'all, there's something in the refrigerator, something somewhere," and nobody else in the house will smell it, and I'll be the only one smelling it. But even like the statement that you said, like, I could smell a rat, right? Like, I can going back to like people, places, or things. I really feel like I literally said this to my mom. She gonna see this and be like, "Whoa," like, because I said, "Ma, I could smell people, places, or things coming." I get a whiff of it. She's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, I just heightened. I've always been like that." So I think that definitely resonates, and this is
And
I
now you know why, because that's how God designed you. That's just how he designed you for a specific reason. And as you continue to move forward, you'll know, like, oh, when you go into a room or you go into a situation, take a whiff, and you're like, all right, I know this. Let me go ahead and exit stage left, or let me continue to move forward. But it's really about being connected to the most authentic version of yourself, and understanding that God didn't make any mistakes when he made you. He didn't make any mistakes with how he created you or designed for you to be. But we have to learn to decondition or deprogram ourselves from believing certain things about ourselves that are not true,
that's right.
so
Wow.
that we can show up as our most authentic, limitless, and free selves. So that's human design. When I tell you it's life changing, mind blowing, you like, girl.
We done heard the human design from the minister herself. Minister Jalisa Hardy done. You wanna stop sharing the screen?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I think this that was mine, like, that was, life changing, but, like, it's things you already know, but just seeing
Mhm,
this, oh, so people come to you for this life design, this human design, and trying to
mhm.
this is what they do, right?
Yep.
This this is what you do? This is part of what you
Mhm,
do?
yep.
Wow. You got a lot of happy customers. I know you got a lot of people like, "I knew I was smell." Wow. How did you stumble upon that? Like how did you figure out how to do human design and understand and read it? Like, how did you do that?
So I heard about human design probably back in 2016, but sometimes when you're presented with stuff, you're not ready for it. And I
Mhm.
wasn't ready for it then. I was so closed minded to, anything outside of my Bible based religion, So I just wrote it off, even though I think I still have that chart from 2016. But I just wrote it off. But in 2020, when I was going through, my divorce, getting out of an abusive marriage. I was on a path of self-discovery. I needed to rediscover myself, who I truly was meant to be, because I was so broken down, just so feeling so unworthy, feeling so just like I wasn't enough, like nothing was ever going to get better. So I ended up attending a wealthy woman summit that one of the coaches I followed via email. She was one of the speakers, and I attended the summit. And the woman who hosted the summit, it was like just her energy. It was just like I was drawn to her, and I continued to follow her. She had it was like a course that I attended, but then she started talking about human design, and I was like, what? I heard this before. And then I started getting into my chart, and like you, it was like, this is so on point. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, it's like you telling me stuff.
Generator? You a generator? Who was you?
Now I'm a manifesting generator.
Oh, you're a manifestor. Oh, okay. We did one day.
Yeah, yeah, we're similar with it's like a little bit of difference because we're hybrids of manifestors and generators. So we can kind of have that not self theme for manifestors is anger. So for manifesting generators, we can experience frustration and anger as our not self theme because we're hybrid. But generators, like I said, when y'all commit to something, you got to make sure it's a yes because it's very hard for y'all to recommit. Because once y'all head down, it's like, all right, I'm just going to ride it out. So that's why it's important for y'all to understand and know if it's not a yes, don't do it.
Mhm,
Don't do it because
mhm.
you gonna lose, and the people around you are gonna lose. But for manifesting generators, that was a big deconditioning for me, learning to that it's okay to quit. If something don't light you up, it's okay to quit. I can pivot. I can, reposition. I can make a different choice. It can be yes this moment and no the next moment. But for both of us, we're very in the moment magic. So that's why it's important for us to be present to the moment, to know what's next, what's the next thing to do.
Definitely. Mm, this is one of the most powerful listen, this is one of the most this is powerful for people to hear this. I know I'm always using that word powerful, but I know what this is. I'm just amazed by this.
So that's why I call it a personality test on steroids because it's so much bigger than that. Like it's not like the Myers Briggs and all of that. It's literally uniquely about you.
Yeah, and there's more to it too, but it only showed me like a shorter version of it, right? So
Hmm.
people go to your website, jalisahardy.com, they can go to
Hmm.
the reading and then kind of go through the whole motions and talk to you about it, right? Like,
Yep.
yeah,
Hmm.
send y'all there. So go to jalisahardy.com, get that reading, because that was
Yeah.
powerful for me. That was mind blowing because everything resonated with me so much. So, wow, that's whew,
And that's the first time you saw the chart. That's the first time I saw the chart. So it's
wow,
not like it was. It's
yeah.
not like it was planned or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I'm so glad that you asked me to get my birthday when I was like, "Oh, I don't have my birthday," and you was like, "Oh, try to look for it." And then usually I'd be like, "Yeah, all right, I'll get to it." But then I said to my mom, I said, "What day? What time was I born?" And we started. She was like, "I don't know." I said, "You don't know?" And then we started going the whole thing. And then she went and a couple days later she found it and she said, "This is what." I said, "Oh my god, I thought it was." And so I'm glad I didn't send it to you ahead of time and do it before because I think this is more meaningful. There's no coincidence
Hmm.
doing it right now on the
Yep.
podcast so everyone in this world can see what that is from, the Drop a Jew podcast. So boom, drop
Yep.
that jewel.
Yep. So, that's what I was talking about. Um, so when she started sharing about human design, I really got into it. And I'm like, yo, so many more people need to hear about this. So many people need to know about this modality because it has literally been life changing. When you can look at your kids' charts and say, oh, all right, they're a little spicy. I'm gonna go ahead and get them a little more space, a little bit more grace, instead of like trying to program them to like, all right, tone it down. You a little too much, like you a little too aggressive or angry. But no, all right, my baby's a manifester. She gonna be angry. She gonna have her little angry outburst. I'm gonna let her have her space, give her grace.
Mm.
These are things that you can do not only with your kids, and if you're an employer, or if you're in a relationship. That's another thing I'm getting into too, doing relationship charts, so you
Ooh.
can see how compatible you are with your partner.
Ooh. Oh, you
And
gotta have one first.
yeah.
Oh, never mind. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
So
What's next?
if you dating somebody, this is my thing. I'm like, look, what's your date of birth, time of birth, location, or because I wanna know. Okay.
She said, not today. What's your day, birth? Okay.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. This number has been disconnected.
Okay, you know who to block and who to.
Who to block and who to lock? Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I just made a decision. I said I'm gonna learn as much as I can. And when my coach, when she offered her certification, I was probably one of the first ones to sign up, and I was the first one to finish because I was so committed and dedicated
Wow.
to learning this information and being able to share it with more people, because it has been so life changing for me. I want other people to have this experience, to know and discover their true selves.
Wow. And I think it's beautiful coming from you too, just because like even your experience of even getting to this place, this physical place, right? Like what your mom experienced in the pregnancy and just you getting here. It's so powerful that you're doing this work. It's magical almost, right? But it's really mystical in some ways as well. But I think it wasn't a coincidence that you were at that place at that time, and you got that information and you signed up. So, and that's another thing I want to go to because you've been in a lot of coincidental places, and those coincidental places that you told me about have brought you to the next level. Like even with your book, let's just hit that for a second because I know, I mean, we're doing a lot of talking, but I want to hit that book real quick in the back. Okay, move over a little bit. Let people see
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Yes, my
how'd you,
book
how'd you get to
is
that book?
literally, when I say that I unintentionally manifested a lot of this stuff. So now, understanding my human design, I've been more intentionally manifesting things.
Mm.
But when it came to my book, it was like when I just made a decision that, you know what, I'm gonna be obedient. God, you told me, to share my story. You told me to put it out there for people to have access to. I just made a decision. And what I did was I set a timer for an hour a day, and I said, I'm just going to write. I don't know what it's going to turn into. I don't know how it's going to get published. I don't know, but I'm trusting you. I'm going to have faith. And literally every single step of the way, he was providing and showing me, leading, guiding and directing me, so that in, I think it was less than 6 months, my book was self published. 20 days, I wrote my entire book.
See, I'm working on my generator part of my book. It's coming, but it's coming at the right time. But I love this that you took the time. Remember, we talked about the work. See, this stuff is important because a lot of people are writing books, but the experience, the journey itself is, I think, is more important that you just shared.
Mhm.
And don't you missed a big mark here because you told me how you even got to write that book, and you said you were sitting down at the park, right? Wait, hold on.
Yep. Yep.
Can you get
So,
that real
okay.
quick? Okay, come on now, don't miss
So
that.
I had a lot of different messages. So social media, it has its pros and cons. So you know how Facebook has those memories. A
Yep.
memory came up of me like declaring that I'm a self-published author, or I'm a published author, or something like that. And I'm like, ooh, I did write that 10 years ago, and I'm still sitting here without a book. So I heard you, God. I heard you. You brought it back to my remembrance for a reason.
Yeah.
So after that, it was like literally people just kept coming into my life like, you need to write a book, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. I shared like a little snippet on social media, and that kind of blew up because I was so transparent and so open. Like people were asking me to be on their podcast, speak on their stages. And that from there, it was like, okay, there are so many people that need to hear my story. Let me go ahead and get serious about this book.
Yeah, what did
So
the guy at the park say to you?
so I went on a walk. I don't even think it was summertime, but God just told me, go outside, go for a walk, grab your journal, go outside. And I'm like, okay. something out there for me. I don't know if it's something that you're gonna give me to write out. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna be obedient. I took a little walk and went and found a bench and I sat down and I just started writing. And a guy came up to me and he's like, "Oh, this is where I normally sit, but I'm not gonna bother you. You know, I see you journaling. I don't want to, distract you." So I'm like, "Okay." Never seen a guy ever in my life. Lived somewhere in the neighborhood, but he came back not even 2 minutes later. Like, I feel like I got to talk to you. I feel like we need to talk. So he just sat down, he told me about himself, asked me about myself, what I do, da da da, da, what I'm doing. And I told him I was preparing to write my book. And I started telling him my story, and he's like, "Well, I'm a graphic designer. And because I heard your story and I want to make sure that your story gets out to the masses, I'm going to do your book cover for free."
Okay. Won't he do it? Okay.
That's the understanding for me. And I think I wrote about it in my book, remembering that when God gives you the vision for something, he's going to give you the provision. But we get so caught up in trying to provide for ourselves. We get so caught up in trying to be God, trying to control things for ourselves instead of trusting and believing and knowing that, okay, God is going to provide. Whether it's from, this place over here or this place over there, everything is provision from God.
Listen,
So we got to stop trying to put God in a box and say, oh, it can only come from this way or it can only come from this person. Everything that you receive is from God, no matter who it's coming from or where it's coming from. It's all His, and it's
mm,
all coming from Him to you.
okay. Elisa, Elisa, this is I love your story, your faith, the 5 Fs, everything you shared today, just your journey. The journey is just as important as the goal. Um, Listen, this is I think the reading. Oh my goodness. I'm about to be after we get off this, I'm gonna be looking at it more. But Jaleesa, listen, I know we could be on this thing all day. I I know we can. I know the babies need you. And but I know my kids is about to jump me. They want
Mhm.
snack food. I'm joking. But no, real talk. Listen, you have shared so much with us today. I mean, just I'm amazed. I'm just amazed. And it takes a lot to amaze me, but I am amazed. Like just and hearing your story too, I want to also say that I hope this story helps to educate. Wait, hold on. That's where I go. Heal, enhance, and transform lives. Because your story is definitely the true definition of all those things.
Yeah.
But the timing, the journey, your experiences, educating yourself, learning, keep going, don't stop. You don't have to stop. Life is good. Life can be beautiful. And I think that's the message I want to send out. But I want you to send this message. What is the jewel of the day? Now, because you started out talking about, we talked about what drop a jewel means to you. So now it's your turn, right? It's your turn to drop the jewel. The show's about dropping jewels. So I'm gonna give you a second to think about it, but I want you've named so many different experiences and journeys that are jewels in itself. But I want you to tell us the final jewel of the night. If you had to share a story or a not a story, but a message to the world right now, what is the jewel that you want to share with everyone?
The only thing holding you back from achieving the life that you desire and that you deserve, because you deserve a free and abundant life, is you. Not your experiences, not other people, not your circumstances. It's you. If you truly trust and believe that God loves you and wants more for you, then you can continue to get present in each moment and know, okay, this is the next step for me to get to the life I desire and the life that I deserve. You do not have to settle. You don't have to settle physically. You don't have to settle spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationally. Do not settle. God designed us to live lives of freedom and abundance and lives that we enjoy. You do not have to settle. So stop blocking your own progress.
Thank you. And you know what, Jaleesa? Everything you said, you've already showed us you're a true testament of that. Everything that you showed us, like, you don't have to say, you don't like those 5 Fs and everything, like, that jewel, I know it's real because you just told us your story and your experiences that all are demonstrated and reflect back on that jewel. So you don't have to settle, okay? Thank you, Jaleesa.
You're welcome. Thank
I
you for having me. This was amazing. I'm so glad I just continue to not listen to my body because you a mom, a single mom, you be tired. You be like, look, I don't feel like it, okay?
Yes, yes, we both said that, but we energized I guess I was generating some energy, that's why I said I got
Hmm.
the energy, and I literally been saying that. I never, like, used to say that before, like, but I've always been in it. Anyways, listen,
Yep. When you
I
when you move in a way that lights you up and eat in a way that lights you up and do work that lights you up, that's how you sustain your energy for the long haul. So
yes,
us being here today with each other, we feeding off each other's energy. So
yep,
we doing the work. That's how we know this is where we were meant to be.
yep, yep, yep. Jaleesa, it's been a pleasure again. I wanna thank you, and we're gonna do round 2. I wanna ask you, where can people find you? How can they connect with you? How can they talk to you? Where do they gotta go?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram. That's my main platform right now, and I also have a channel over there. But I do behind the scenes, give people a little bit more insight. I've been doing giveaways during my rebrand. My launch party is on February 29th. I know it's going to be after this, but I'll
Nice.
be launching some new offers where there'll be community experiences because I realized when it comes to human design, when it comes to growth and personal development, we learn so much better in community. We heal so much better in community because we're not the only one carrying the load. We're not the only one carrying the bags. Okay. We come into it with bags. And
Yep,
you have somebody in your corner that's going to be able to carry the bags for you. So, all of that is going to be on my website, jalisahardy.com. By the time this is shared, jalisahardy.com, you'll be able to go to jalisahardy.com/movement, and all
yep,
of my new community offers will be there. I have a membership, a mastermind, and a high level mastermind for people that really want to get into this work and live the life of the designer within. That's the name of my high level mastermind, the designer within. So that'll be available. But right now, as I shared, I do live human design reading. So I'll send me your chart. We'll get on Zoom, and I'll share with you the insight that comes up. I do human design mini readings where I do a more in depth study of your chart and do a 15 to 20-minute recording. It's usually longer than that, but I say 15 to 20 minutes because there's so much that I want to share with people about this. But more recently, people love these live experiences just to be able to see the magic in the moment.
wow,
um and
yep,
then I do a
yeah,
yeah, I do an initial consultation. So as a board certified holistic health practitioner, I do the physical side and the spiritual side. So I offer hair tissue mineral analysis, frequency therapy, you get your human design reading, and then some coaching in my initial consultation to really guide you to see what the next steps will be for you. So yeah, those are my offers. My website is jalisahardy.com. Everything will be there. I'm revamping it this next month, from the old branding to the new branding. So just be patient with me if you get on there and you still see purple and purple and blue over there, but we working on it.
that gold.
Um, yes, and then on Instagram, I'm at Jalisa the Golden Child. So Instagram, website, hello at jalisahardy.com is my email address as well.
Wow, well, you done brought us some gold today. You done truly brought a lot of value today, so y'all get with Jaleesa, she is it. She is lit, and get with her, subscribe, get you a little reading done, see what's the next
Yes.
step, consult, whatever you gotta do, get your hair, tissue, all that, just get it done. Subscribe and like this, Jaleesa, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.